Okay, for allocation, would you recommend target date retirement funds like Vanguard's low cost target date funds in 401k and Roth IRA, and then have VT Sachs and brokerage? Okay, so yeah, I went through this say struggle of how much do I need to put into the target date retirement fund to begin with. You have pretty much two separate goals here. You have 401k and Roth IRA for when you're retired at 60, or earliest is 55 for the rule of 55. You can start taking money out of your 401k. If you retired, or let's say you quit your job or you get fired, doesn't matter, when you're in the same year that you turn 55 years old, you can actually start taking money out of your 401k and see how that target date retirement fund has performed in the past. And same thing with the Roth IRA, maybe putting it into the same fund would just kind of give you the same performance, right? So the question I would ask you is how risk averse or maybe risk tolerant you are into investing for your retirement. And it also depends on your age too. If you're in your 20s, 30s, you definitely don't want to miss out on the opportunity growth, especially when you're still young and you have time to recover any losses, right? So if you start investing, let's say 2003 at the end of the dot-com bubble, and then 2004, 2005, and then when you go through the bear market years in 2008, 2009, you still would have recovered relatively pretty good from all the way from 2007, 2008 to now and in 2024. So, and putting the VT Sachs and brokerage. So if you don't know what that is, VT Sachs, VTSAX, that's the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. And that gives you like the total market of like 4,000 stocks in that one single index fund. But it does perform pretty much the same as the S&P 500 index fund. They are pretty similar. So this is the Vanguard Target Retirement 2050. So when you look at this, some of the things that I would want to know is go to the portfolio composition. Okay. And I'm not giving you any personalized financial advice, but I'm just giving you what you need to know to do some research of your own. So the Vanguard Target Retirement 2050 fund, this has 54% in the index fund so that's all US stocks. And then you have the international stocks, so that's about 35%. And then let's see, you have bonds for about 6.7%. And then you have another bond that would be the international bond for 3%. So you're looking at 9.7, we'll just call that 10% bonds and 90% stocks just in this target date retirement fund. So when you put 90% stocks, so 90% of your 401k is going to perform like, well, I should say 54% of that will perform like how the US stocks are doing. And that's all in the S&P 500. And then the other 35% would do what the international stocks do. So what do you think is better? Investing $500 a month, making 10% return, or investing $1,000 a month, making a 7% return on investment? You can't figure out how much you can invest without a budget. There's no way around it. I personally tested out the budgeting app called YNAB, and it's not just an app that can track your income and expenses, but it can even help you create a plan to pay down your student loans, car loans, personal loans, or credit cards a lot faster. So if you're ready to change your life by getting out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle, you can get a free trial without any credit card information by using the link in the description below. So let me take a look. International right now index fund, it's about 7.2%. So you got to keep that in mind. When you're looking at this, you're going to be performing about half of that will be at almost 15% return at the time I'm recording this video. And then the other 35% will be performing about 7.2%. So you're not going to get the maximum return if you put it in the target date retirement fund. I personally don't do it because it is too risk averse for me, right? But it might be right for you because you're more risk averse than me, maybe. So that's something to keep in mind. So 2050 for the target date fund, it's performing 9.66% return. So that is still really, really good, right? That's based on the 90% stocks and 10% bonds. So do you want the same thing in your 401k for 90 stocks and 10% bonds? And then you just have 401k and Roth IRA perform the same. And then you just invest in, let's say, VT Sachs, that's giving you a pretty good return too. So it's really up to you. Let me take a look. VT Sachs, how's that going? And you're going to need at least $3,000 to begin with. And this one, performance, yeah, it made a 26% return last year. And then I think year to date is 13.5%. So it's still pretty good. This is based on, it's probably around 14.5% so far. So if you invest in something like VT Sachs, this means that you're taxable brokerage account is 100% stocks, all 100%. Okay. So when you click on portfolio composition, it's going to tell you how many stocks there are. So if you look at it, it has 3,674 stocks. And the median market cap, that means like the median of the market cap for each stock is about $181 billion. The other thing I want to look at is so this kind of gives you a better idea of how this is diversified, how for each sector, energy, financial, and 35% of it is in tech. So if tech gets a big hit, then 35% of this index fund could take a hit as well, or it does well. It could go the opposite way. And here's the top 10 holdings. You got Microsoft, which is down a lot after yesterday. When I say a lot, probably not that much, but they didn't have a really good earnings, and that's the number one holding in VT-SAX. You got Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta, Alphabet, that would be Google, Eli Lilly, Broadcom, and Berkshire Hathaway. So just keep that in mind, that when these 10 stocks make some moves, and then obviously you're going to see like all 3,000, 4,000 stocks in there. Maybe you look at the top 25. So the companies does bad, this whole index fund is not going to be like, oh, it's all going to collapse. But you should be aware, if Microsoft does bad, then naturally, the other companies could be doing just as bad too for that one day. Okay. But look at the overall performances for the last 5 years, last 10 years. What is your target for the next, say 20 years? Are you trying to buy VT-SAX so that you can retire early? Are you trying to buy a home in the next 10 years? Those are the things that you want to consider too, because, VT-SAX might not be the only thing that you want to get based on the risk tolerance that you have. You may be someone like, I want to be riskier by putting in the, let's say, sector ETF that is more like sector specific ETF or index fund or something like that. Take a look at those. Vanguard has some really good index funds. Personally, I still invest in Vanguard index funds, and they're really cheap too. And they have a really good track record of their performances. Fees are really low. So I'm a big fan of Vanguard index funds, just not a big fan of Vanguard customer service, in my personal opinion. So, but really good question. Just take a look at it, and hopefully that kind of answers your question without knowing your entire life situation. So